I had heard the rumors about the Red Room before. The old house was filled with strange stories, but none more disturbing than the tale of the room that no one dared enter. They said it was haunted, that it carried with it a dreadful curse. The elderly servants were always quick to change the subject whenever it came up, and the housekeeper, Miss Arnold, gave me a warning glance whenever I showed interest in it. But I was determined. The challenge of spending the night in the Red Room was too great to resist. It was an old family tradition that only the bravest, the boldest would even consider. So, when I found myself at the great mansion one evening, invited by a friend who had recently inherited the property, I made my decision. I was led through the darkened corridors of the old house, its silence so deep that even the smallest sounds echoed eerily through the hallways. The light from the candle I carried flickered with each step I took, casting long shadows on the cracked walls. At last, we came to the door of the Red Room itself. The room was exactly as I had imagined. It was large, sparsely furnished, and, true to its name, completely bathed in red. Red velvet curtains covered the windows, and the wallpaper was a deep crimson shade. The furniture seemed to have been left untouched for years. A heavy wooden chair by the fireplace, and a mirror framed in black. It looked like a room that had been abandoned long ago, its only company the dust and the memories. The key to the room was old and worn, its metal surface dull from years of use. As I stepped over the threshold, a cold chill settled in the air, almost as if the room was breathing, waiting. My heart quickened, but I told myself it was just the atmosphere, nothing more. This was a challenge I had chosen, and I would not back away from it. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Miss Arnold had asked me when I told her of my plan. "The room is strange. You'll feel its presence, and not in a good way." "I'm sure," I replied, holding up my candle. "I have to know for myself." She had merely sighed, looking at me with a mixture of pity and fear. I didn't understand it then, but I would soon enough. I sat in the heavy chair by the fireplace, the room growing colder as I settled in. The candlelight danced erratically, flickering against the shadows that seemed to grow longer by the second. The silence pressed in on me from all sides. Every sound, the smallest creak, the faintest whisper of the wind outside, seemed amplified, like the room itself was alive. I sat for what seemed like hours, my thoughts racing. I tried to tell myself it was just a room, nothing more, but my nerves grew tighter, like a thread ready to snap. The silence was too thick, too suffocating. Suddenly, a strange sensation washed over me, something I couldn't quite place. It wasn't just the darkness closing in or the isolation. It was the weight of the room itself, the feeling that it was watching me, judging me. The shadows in the corners seemed to shift when I wasn't looking directly at them. My heart began to race. I stood up, my legs shaking slightly. I looked around the room, trying to shake off the sense of dread that had settled into my bones. The mirror on the wall caught my attention, its surface dusty and cracked, reflecting nothing but the red haze of the room. That's when I felt it, the change in the air, the shift in the room's atmosphere. It was as though something had shifted within the very walls themselves, as if the room had suddenly become alive with a dark force. I couldn't explain it, but I knew, deep down, that I was not alone. The temperature dropped sharply. I could see my breath now, misting in front of my face. I turned to the door, but the darkness outside seemed impenetrable. The candlelight sputtered violently, and I nearly dropped it in surprise. I felt trapped, the weight of the room pressing in on me from every side. I rushed to the door, my hand shaking as I reached for the handle. But as I turned it, the door didn't budge. I tried again, harder this time, but the door was locked, impossibly so, as if the room itself were holding me captive. I began to panic. My mind raced with thoughts of escape, but my breath grew shallower, my vision clouding with a strange dizziness. I backed away from the door, stumbling toward the mirror. My own reflection seemed distorted, twisted. My face was pale, my eyes wide with terror. The silence returned, only now it felt suffocating. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The shadows seemed to crawl closer, filling the corners of the room, closing in on me like a living thing. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. It was as if the room was alive, feeding on my fear, my desperation. And then, as if to answer my panic, I saw it, a figure in the mirror standing behind me. A figure that shouldn't have been there. I spun around, but there was no one. I was alone. The room was empty, save for the cold, oppressive air and the deep, ominous silence. I rushed to the door once more, my heart pounding in my chest. This time it opened. I didn't look back as I ran out of that room, out of that cursed house. I fled into the night, not stopping until I was far from that mansion, far from the suffocating presence of the Red Room. I never returned. And to this day, I cannot explain what happened in that room or what presence I felt watching me. But I know this, whatever was there, it wasn't of this world. It was a darkness, ancient and waiting. And it's a darkness I'll never forget.
I never thought I'd dig through Craigslist for work. Not because I was too good for it, but because Craigslist had a smell to it. Like rot under floorboards. Scams, setups, people lured into places they never walked out of. But hunger strips away pride. It was 4 weeks after I got laid off from my receptionist job at a veterinary clinic. They said, budget cuts. I'd been living alone in a crumbling studio on the south end of Glendale, scraping by with leftovers and counting change. Rent was coming fast, and my bank account felt like a noose. When the panic got bad enough, I texted my friend, Ria. She always knew side hustles, flipping furniture, dog sitting, stuff under the table. She told me she'd babysat through Craigslist before. Check everything, she warned. Sometimes those ads aren't for kids. Sometimes it's bait. I'd babysat back in school
She
and
told me
thought
she'd
I could
babysat
handle
through
it.
Craigslist before.
Kids, cartoons, bedtime. How hard could it be? Most of the postings felt wrong. Broken sentences, bad grammar, too much money for too little work. Then I found one that looked clean. Need sitter this Saturday. 2 girls, 5 and 8, 6 p.m. to midnight. We're easygoing. $140 cash. Message for details. Thanks, Dana K. It was tidy, casual, safe. Dana messaged back quick, gave me the address, and said her husband would be home, but leaving soon. She sounded normal, even kind. A smiley face at the end of her note. I checked the address, 71 Willow Bend, a dead-end street tucked near the old rail yard. Run down, but not abandoned. I sent Rhea the details, just in case. Text me when you're in, she said. And if the vibe's wrong, walk out. Don't explain, don't apologize. The night came cold and windy. I pulled up at 5:50. The house was a squat brick thing, windows black, paint peeling from the shutters. A porch swing creaked in the wind. The light above the door flickered like it was dying. Something in me hesitated, but I knocked. It opened after a long silence. A man stood there, early 60s, tall and skeletal. His skin was pale, stretched too tight, eyes sunk into dark hollows. His clothes hung loose, jeans spattered with something dark, a shirt with holes at the collar. He smiled, but it never reached his eyes. You the sitter? His voice was dry, like dust in a throat. Yeah, Dana said to be here at 6. He muttered, rubbing his jaw. She just ran out with the girls. Should be back soon. Come on in. I hesitated, but stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Metallic, sour, mixed with bleach. The living room was stripped bare, just a stained couch and old newspapers stacked high. No toys. No shoes by the door. Ha! No sign of kids ever living here. He shut the door with a click that sounded louder than it should have. "You can wait in the den," he said, pointing down a shadowed hallway. I sat on the couch instead, forcing a smile. My phone buzzed. Rhea. "You good?" I typed back strange. "No kids here yet. Husband only." The man paced the hall, muttering to himself. Every few minutes he peeked in at me, eyes darting, lips moving like he was rehearsing lines. "She should be back by now," he said more than once. At 6:20, I stood. My skin was crawling. "Maybe I'll just reschedule," I said lightly. He stiffened. His voice cracked into something sharper. "No, she's here. She's downstairs." He gestured toward a door in the kitchen, half hidden behind a curtain. The handle was rusted, paint chipped. "She takes the girls down there sometimes. Games, crafts. Go on. She's waiting." The house had gone too quiet. I walked to the door, heart slamming, and opened it. A breath of air rolled up from the dark below. Damp earth, rot and copper. My stomach turned. "Go on," he said again. His smile stretched too wide now, gums raw and teeth stained red. I froze. Behind me, the floor creaked. Something moved down in the dark, heavy, dragging, wet. A low moan echoed up, followed by a sound like claws scratching wood. I stepped back fast. "Actually, my ride's here. Sorry. I need to." The front door was locked. My fingers slipped on the bolt as he whispered behind me. "You haven't even seen them yet." The sound from the basement grew louder. Not children. Not human. The stench of blood thickened in the air. The lock finally gave. I flung the door open and ran, his laughter chasing me out onto the porch. I didn't look back until I was in my car. He stood in the doorway, smiling with his ruined mouth, while something thrashed in the dark behind him. I drove until my lungs burned, parked in a gas station lot, called Rhea, sobbing. She told me to call the cops. I did. Gave the report, gave the address. They said I'd check. 2 weeks later, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hi there. Saw your babysitting profile. 2 kids, easy night. $140 cash. Let us know if you're free. Dana K." Same words. Same bait. Different number. I blocked it. More messages came. New numbers each time. Now, when I scroll job boards, I still see them. Same phrasing, same pay, different names. And I wonder how many others went inside, how many went down the basement stairs, and how many never came back. My story begins like many stories these days, on a dating app. I met her through Connect. Her profile was Jenny. She looked very calm in her photos. Nothing flashy, no heavy filters, no duckbill. Just a few selfies, a simple bio, and just enough sarcastic messages to keep me interested. We talked for 3 nights. Jenny had a dry sense of humor that I liked, and the way she responded made me think she wasn't like the other girls on the app. She wasn't overly flirtatious, nor was she trying to impress. And honestly, that won me over. She asked me to meet. I didn't even have to ask. That surprised me. She picked a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop on the edge of town. I got there 15 minutes early and waited outside, pretending not to notice every girl who passed by to see if it was her. Then someone stopped in front of me and called my name. It was Jenny, or it was supposed to be Jenny. I looked up. The woman standing there looked familiar, but wrong. She looked about 5 or 6 years older than Jenny in the photos. The face was similar, but everything from the jawline to the eyes was strangely off, like a faded, distorted version of the photos. Listen, I know I look different. Please don't leave yet. I'm not trying to be deceitful, it's just, I have a hard time showing who I really am. I don't think anyone would swipe on me if I didn't. She spoke. Her voice was shaky, almost pleading. She looked genuinely scared. I should have left. I should have said that this was an unacceptable deception. But I didn't. She wasn't unattractive, in fact. Beneath all that panic, she had a beauty of her own, more real than in the pictures. And the way she looked at me, as if expecting me to hate her immediately, made it hard for me to get up and leave. So I stayed. We ordered coffee. The awkwardness faded. She started making me laugh again, just like in the text. But there was something behind her words, like she was watching me closely, too closely. But what really caught my attention was her phone. It kept lighting up, call after call from unknown numbers. She didn't answer any of them. After the 5th call in 15 minutes, I finally spoke. Is it work? It's not important. I'm off today. I thought it was probably nerves. But then I noticed she was watching me from the corner of her eye, as if waiting for me to ask again. So I didn't. I just kept talking. After a few minutes, I asked her where she lived. Why do you need to know that? Jenny asked. Her voice was low. Not angry, but low, controlled, as if she were trying not to blow up. I backed away and said I just wanted to keep the conversation going. She didn't answer. 3 nights later, I was at home when she called me. No text, no warning, just a surprise call. I picked up. Hey, I need you to come over here. Please. I need help, Jenny said in a hoarse, panicked voice. I should have known better, but there was something in her voice that pushed me. It didn't sound manipulative. It sounded desperate. So I took my keys and left. Her house was on the outskirts of town. It took me 40 minutes to get there. The place looked like it hadn't been there in a while. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. And then the door opened. It was Jenny, but not like before. Her eyes were wide, her skin pale. No, it wasn't her. Who are you? I asked, horrified. My name is Mark. Jenny is my girlfriend. You were going to see her, but you saw me instead. I backed away, but Mark had a gun raised. Don't move. As soon as I heard that click, I acted. I didn't think. I lunged forward, knocking Mark over. We both fell to the floor. The gun flew out from under the sofa. Mark grabbed me by the collar and threw me into a table. The table shattered, splinters of wood piercing my hand. Mark lunged at me and punched me. I felt my nose shatter. I grabbed a piece of the broken table leg and swung it at Mark's temple. Mark screamed and fell. I crawled toward the gun. Mark kicked me hard in the ribs. I held my breath in pain. Mark pulled my ankle back, but I spun around, clawing at his face. He grabbed my wrist, twisting it until there was a crack. We were both bleeding. I kicked Mark in the chest with all my might, staggered to my feet, and searched for another weapon. I grabbed a nearby decorative tile, turned around, and slammed it into Mark's jaw. Once, twice, 3 times. Mark didn't move. I stood over him, dizzy, coughing, my whole body aching. I was about to call the police. But then I smelled something else. Not the original stench. Worse. Stronger. It was coming from the end of the hall. I shouldn't have gone any further, but I couldn't stop. The flashlight picked up plastic sheets on the floor, dried blood, and a mattress soaked in dark red. In the corner were large, black garbage bags tied tightly. Shakily, I walked to the nearest one and tore it open. Inside were hair and a chunk of scalp. The next bag was a neatly severed arm. Another had a lung wrapped in rags. I backed away, retching. I looked at another bag that had been torn open. A face stared out, blank and bruised. It was Jenny, the real Jenny. He hadn't just killed her. He'd cut her into pieces, arranged them. I shakily called the police from the porch. The police cars arrived, lights flashing. They arrested Mark, still breathing but barely conscious. I told them everything. They believed me. They found her ID, her clothes, her blood in every room. I deleted Connect that night. I never re-downloaded it. That day, I realized that things can always be worse than you imagine. Some people fake their profiles. Others become the profile itself. A deserted country road winds through dense fog. Tall trees loom overhead. A single car headlights cut through the darkness. Inside the car, Jason Harper driving and Emily Harper sitting in the passenger seat. Jason, are you sure this is the right place? The realtor said it's just down this road. The house is supposed to be abandoned for years, perfect for renovations. The car rounds a bend and suddenly the silhouette of an old decaying mansion emerges from the fog. Its windows are dark, some broken vines crawling up the walls. Jason parks the car. They get out. The wind picks up, carrying a faint, whispering voice. Emily shivers. The front door groans as Jason pushes it open. The air inside is cold, stale, and smells faintly of decay. They walk in. Their footsteps echo in the empty halls. Dust swirls around them in the moonlight. A grand staircase leads up to the second floor, its banister warped and rotting. Suddenly, a faint child's laugh echoes from upstairs. Emily freezes. Did you hear that? Emily Enchka Ging. Probably a raccoon or something. They continue, exploring. In the dining room, a long table is covered in cobwebs. Chairs are overturned. A silver candelabra lies on the floor, dented. Jason picks it up and shakes it gently. Then the candelabra flies from his hands across the room, smashing into the wall. Jason and Emily stumble back, horrified. A loud creaking sound comes from the staircase. Both look up. A dark shadow moves across the top landing. It disappears. Emily gasps. Dort. Emily unwraps a blanket, trying to warm herself. A sudden knock comes from the window. Both freeze. Who's there? Who's there? Emily startled. Jason slowly approaches the window. Nothing is outside. He sighs in relief. The knock comes again, louder this time. A faint, distorted child's voice whispers, "Go away." Emily clutches Jason's arm. The temperature in the room drops dramatically. Their breath becomes visible. Suddenly, the lights from their flashlights flicker, Shadows stretch unnaturally along the walls. A cold, unseen hand brushes Emily's shoulder. She screams. Jason grabs a nearby chair, swinging it wildly, but hits nothing. The room is empty, yet the presence is undeniable. A low, guttural whisper fills the room. You shouldn't have come. Jason and Emily huddle together, terrified as the first real night of horror begins in Willow Creek. Jason and Emily are huddled on the floor, clutching each other. The cold in the room is unbearable. Their breaths come in short gasps. Shadows twist unnaturally across the walls. Jason grabs his phone, trying to call for help. No signal. He tries again. Still nothing. A soft, dragging sound comes from the hallway outside the room. Something is moving. A door at the end of the hallway creaks open slowly on its own. Emily hides her face in Jason's chest. The room grows darker, as if a shadow is spreading. A low, almost human-like moan echoes from the corridor. I want to leave. I want to go home, Emily crying softly. Jason slowly stands, trying to look brave. He grabs a candle from a dresser and lights it. The flame flickers violently, then steadies. He steps into the hallway. The floorboards groan under his weight. Cold wind brushes past him. He shines the candle down the hall. A small, pale hand suddenly reaches out from under the staircase, grabbing at him. Jason stumbles back, screaming. Jason! Emily screaming. The hand disappears as quickly as it appeared. Silence falls. But now, faint whispers are all around them, echoing from the walls and ceiling. Whispers overlapping. Leave. Now. Go. The next morning, the rain has stopped, leaving a damp, foggy landscape outside. Jason and Emily are examining the house by daylight, the horrors of the night before fresh in their minds. They find a small library, dusty and full of cobwebs. Emily opens a large book, flipping through pages of old newspaper clippings. Jason, look at this. Clippings show a series of mysterious deaths and disappearances in the mansion, all involving children. One article catches their attention. A woman named Madeline Thorne was accused of witchcraft and killed on the property in the 1800s. A sudden loud bang upstairs makes them both jump. A chair slides across the floor on its own. The air grows icy again. Jason grabs Emily's hand. We need help. Someone who understands this. Jason finds an old working landline in the study room. He dials frantically. The line clicks. Then a calm, confident voice answers. This is Dr. Marcus Vale. How may I help you? My name is Jason Harper. We moved into a mansion in Willow Creek. Something's wrong. There's a spirit here. It attacked us last night. Take a deep breath. Describe the events from the beginning. Jason recounts everything. The whispers, the shadows, the hand under the stairs, the dragging sounds, and the chilling presence. Emily adds the newspaper clippings about Madeline Thorne. Jason hangs up, glancing at Emily, both knowing that tonight will be even worse than before. The rain has returned, light at first, then heavier. Fog swirls across the lawn. Jason and Emily stand at the edge of the driveway, nervously awaiting Dr. Marcus Vale and his team. A sleek black SUV appears through the mist. 3 figures step out. Dr. Marcus Vale, a calm, experienced paranormal investigator. Sister Helena, a medium with deep spiritual insight. And Liam, a tech specialist with a knack for detecting anomalies. Are you ready? Once we enter, there's no turning back until we've dealt with her. I don't know if I can. Emily trembling. They all enter the mansion. The doors creak ominously, echoing through the dark hallways. The team sets up equipment, EVP recorders, EMF detectors, cameras, and candles. Dr. Vale explains the plan. Madeline Thorne is strong. She feeds off fear. She reacts to sudden movements, loud sounds, and non-vegetarian food. Her anger stems from betrayal and her violent death. Tonight, we'll attempt to communicate, then bind her spirit. Jason and Emily sit in the corner, holding each other. A faint whisper floats through the room, too soft to catch clearly. A sudden slamming sound upstairs causes Liam to drop his camera. Dr. Vale moves toward the staircase. He ascends, candle in hand. The shadows seem to stretch along the walls, forming twisted shapes. A chilling, high-pitched laugh echoes down the staircase. Dr. Vale carefully approaches a closed door at the end of the hallway. The temperature drops sharply. His breath becomes visible. Madeline Thorne, we are here to help you move on. The door slams open violently on its own. A shadowy figure appears. A pale woman in a tattered dress, her eyes black voids. Long black hair obscures most of her face. She floats a few inches above the floor, moving unnaturally. Madeline Thorne, your anger belongs to the past. You will not harm them. The ghost screams, a high-pitched wail that shakes the walls. Furniture slides across the floor. Candles extinguish themselves one by one. Liam shouts, trying to record everything. Sister Helena steps forward, holding a small pendant glowing faintly. By the light of the old, by the power of the unseen, I call you to listen. The ghost pauses, tilts her head. A whisper emerges, almost human. Why did they betray me? Ghost whispering. Suddenly, a loud crash is heard from downstairs. Jason and Emily run toward the sound. They see furniture thrown across the room. A shadow moves across the ceiling, then lands in front of them. It's Madeline Thorne, Emily screaming. The ghost lunges at Jason. He is thrown across the room. Emily tries to grab him, but the ghost grabs her too. Both are lifted off the ground by an invisible force. Dr. Vale runs to the center of the room, holding a small silver cross and chanting an incantation. The ghost lets out a chilling scream. Leave or die, ghost screaming. Jason manages to grab a piece of broken furniture, swinging it at the ghost. It passes through her like smoke, but slows her down. Dr. Val's chanting grows louder. Sister Helena joins in, the pendant glowing brighter. The ghost starts to dissipate slowly, her wail fading. The air warms. The objects stop moving. Jason and Emily collapse to the floor, exhausted but alive. Dr. Vale's serious to Emily and Jason. This is only the beginning. Spirits like Madeline Thorne, they are powerful. But tonight, she has been weakened. The camera lingers on the shadowy corners of the room. hinting that she may not be gone entirely. Jason and Emily sit as Sister Helena performs a vision ritual. Candles circle them. Incense smoke curls around their faces. Suddenly, the room shifts. The walls seem to bleed. Her fury is born of betrayal, starvation, and murder. They left me. They left me. Ghost whispering. Objects fly. Lights flicker. Shadows dart across hallways. Jason and Emily are trapped in a room, terrified. She's feeding off your fear. Stay calm. Dr. Vale shouting. Jason sees ghostly children in the corner, echoes of Madeline's lost family. One reaches toward him, whispering, "Join us." He panics. But Sister Helena intervenes with her pendant, driving the spirits back. Dr. Vale and Sister Helena lure Madeline into the attic. Candles, protective symbols, and chanting surround her. "You can't take me!" Ghost, screaming. Emily, summoned by Sister Helena, repeats her mother's name to calm Madeline, connecting to the part of her soul still human. "Madeline, it's time to rest. You don't have to hurt anymore." The ghost shrieks, convulses, then suddenly falls silent, hovering briefly before dissipating into mist. The attic is still. The storm outside breaks into light rain. The mansion is quiet. Broken furniture remains, but the oppressive darkness is gone. Jason and Emily sit, exhausted but alive. It's over. She's gone. For now. Spirits like her leave traces. Respect the house. Don't return alone. Sister Helena. Madeline Thorne's story is a warning. Not all spirits want revenge. Some just want closure. The team leaves, the mansion looming quietly in the early morning fog. The camera lingers on a corner of the attic. Faint black smoke curls, hinting she may not be completely gone. Jason and Emily walk away, holding hands. Birds chirp. Life seems to return to normal, but a faint wind carries a whisper. "I'll be waiting," ghost whispering. Cut to black. The credits roll, leaving a lingering sense of unease.
I can hardly bring myself to recount the events I witnessed, but you must hear the truth. It weighs heavily on my soul, and I must confess it, for my heart aches with the burden of it all. I am a man of reason, a man of science, and yet what I have seen has shaken me to the core. It began with my friend, Dr. Henry Jekyll, a man of great intellect and kindness. Jekyll had always been held in high regard among our circle of friends and colleagues. We had known each other for many years, and I admired his work in medicine and chemistry. He was a man of duality, as most of us are, but I had no idea how deep those divisions ran. Dr. Jekyll, as I've come to realize, was a man struggling with a part of himself that he could neither accept nor understand. He had told me about his experiments, his attempts to separate the good from the evil within himself. I remember laughing at him, thinking it a foolish fantasy. But when I learned what he had truly done, I could not laugh any longer. It was late one night when I first encountered Mr. Edward Hyde. I had heard rumors of the man, of his terrible temper, his inexplicable fits of violence, and his strange appearance. People spoke of him with fear, and I admit, I was curious to meet him myself. Hyde was known to frequent a shabby building in the poorer part of town, a place I would never have ventured on my own. One evening, as I was passing by, I saw him. Hyde, the very man who had been the subject of our gossip for weeks. He was shorter than I had imagined, but the way he moved, the cruel twist of his smile, and the madness in his eyes made him seem far more menacing than his size suggested. He didn't even acknowledge my presence as I stood watching him, and I felt an involuntary shiver crawl down my spine. After that night, I began to see him more and more often. Hyde would appear on Jekyll's property at strange hours, sometimes even disappearing into the doctor's home at odd times. I confronted Jekyll about it, but he always dismissed my concerns, laughing it off as if Hyde were nothing more than a fleeting acquaintance, nothing to worry about. But I was not convinced. One evening, as I waited in Jekyll's study, I noticed something strange. A vial of strange liquid was sitting on the desk, dark and thick like molasses. Jekyll had been working on a new formula, he told me, something that would bring out the hidden aspects of human nature. He explained it with a sense of quiet pride, but there was something in his eyes that unsettled me. Later that night, I witnessed something I will never forget. It was after midnight when I was awoken by an unnerving sound, a violent crash, and then the unmistakable sound of laughter, but it wasn't Jekyll's voice. It was rough, jagged, full of malice. I rushed to the source of the noise, only to find the laboratory in disarray. The vial shattered on the floor, its contents spilled across the marble tiles. But the most shocking thing was what I saw next. Dr. Jekyll, my friend, was gone. In his place stood the creature I had met before, Hyde. His face twisted into a grotesque grin, and his eyes gleamed with something that resembled madness. The transformation was not subtle. It was as if the very essence of Jekyll had been ripped away, leaving only this vile, monstrous figure in his place. I could hardly comprehend what was happening. My friend, Dr. Jekyll, had vanished, and in his stead was this depraved individual who had terrorized the city. Hyde's appearance, his mannerisms, everything about him was a stark contrast to Jekyll's calm demeanor and intelligence. The very air around him seemed to grow heavy with the presence of evil. Hyde spoke to me in a cold, almost amused tone, explaining the nature of the transformation. He told me how Jekyll had created a potion, a chemical mixture that allowed him to transform into another person, someone without the moral constraints that Jekyll had spent his life adhering to. Hyde was the manifestation of Jekyll's darker desires, his unrestrained urges, freed from the bounds of his conscience. I was stunned. I could hardly believe what he was saying, but the evidence was clear. Hyde was the result of Jekyll's reckless ambition, and the transformation had made him into something entirely separate, an individual who reveled in violence and cruelty. I begged him to stop, to return to the man I had once known, but Hyde only laughed. "You don't understand, utter son," he said. "Jekyll is gone. There is no turning back now. I am free." In that moment, I knew that my friend, Dr. Jekyll, had become a prisoner of his own creation. He had sought to separate the good from the evil within him, and in doing so, he had unleashed a nightmare. I had no choice but to leave. Hyde disappeared again, and Jekyll returned to his normal self, but he was forever changed. The man I once knew was now a shell of himself, tormented by the very thing he had created. I could see the deep sorrow in his eyes, but it was mixed with something darker, fear, regret, and an undeniable longing for the release that Hyde gave him. Over the weeks that followed, I tried to help Jekyll, but every attempt to reach him seemed in vain. His battle with his darker self was a losing one. Eventually, he locked himself away in his laboratory, refusing to see anyone. I did not hear from him for days, and then, one morning, I received a letter from Jekyll's hand. In it, he confessed everything, his experiments, his transformation into Hyde, the horrors he had committed. He told me that he could no longer control Hyde, and that he feared the worst was yet to come. When I arrived at his home, I found the laboratory door locked from the inside. The sound of desperate movements came from within. With a heavy heart, I broke the door down, only to find a lifeless body of my dear friend, Dr. Jekyll. He had taken his own life, unable to bear the horrors Hyde had brought upon him. The letter he left behind was a final plea for forgiveness, a final confession of his tragic mistake. But it was too late. The man who had sought to unlock the secrets of the soul had, in the end, been undone by his own darkness. Now, as I recount these events, I wonder how many of us, deep down, are hiding our own monsters. How many of us would be willing to face the truth of what we are capable of if only we dare to look?
Julie is a 21-year-old woman living in San Francisco, a college graduate with a good degree but struggling with a low-paying office job at a small consulting firm. She is smart, ambitious, but weighed down by financial burdens, tuition debt, supporting her family. The dream of a university lecture hall in Canada, of white snow and a bright future, seems too far away. The burden of tuition debt and the desire to support her parents makes her feel suffocated. She realizes that with her current salary, that dream will always be just a dream. That night, in her small bedroom, Julie surfs the internet and stumbles upon articles about girls earning thousands of dollars a month from OnlyFans. At first, she brushes it off, feeling it is not suitable for her. But then, the images of bills, debt figures, and worried faces of her parents appear again. After a fierce internal struggle, she took a deep breath and made a decision. It's just temporary, she told herself. Just enough money to support my dream. I'll have it under control. She carefully created an account under the name Julien, filmed a short introductory video with a somewhat forced smile, and posted her first photos, which were still quite discreet. The first notifications of subscribers and small tips made Julie both happy and nervous. After a few weeks, she had a steady following, paying $10 a month. Gradually, she grew bolder, posting more daring content as requested. The money in her account grew, and the Canadian dream seemed a little closer. She promised herself that all of this money would go toward her education, and when she had enough, she would stop. Julie's life now alternates between two worlds, the dull office worker by day and the charming Julien online by night. One day, she attends a business conference at a fancy coffee shop. She feels out of place among the men in suits, the talk of contracts and profits. She smiles, handing over dozens of business cards with her full name, company, and, unfortunately, her home address, an odd requirement of the company to establish trust. That evening, Julie receives a notification that a new subscriber named John Smith has registered. He immediately texts her. The conversation starts out normal, even humorous. But then the questions become more personal. Do you have a dog? Are you dating anyone? Do you live with your parents? Julie, still naive and thinking that this was just a fan's way of getting to know her, answered all of them without thinking. Little did she know that each of her answers was providing the anonymous person with valuable information. After learning that she lived alone, because she said her roommate was away on a business trip, John Smith started making more daring requests in exchange for generous tips. One odd request was for a photo of her feet, then friend request on Instagram for $10. Julie hesitated, but the money was too tempting. She thought, it's just a friend request. What's the big deal? Julie accepted the friend request. She went to John Smith's profile and saw that it was completely blank. No posts, no followers. But there was an orange circle glowing around his profile picture, signaling a new story. Her heart skipped a beat. She clicked on it. The first story was a short video of her house from a distance, in the woods across the street, posted 2 hours ago. Julie shivered. It must be a coincidence, she tried to reassure herself. She swiped to the second story. This time, the video was from across the street, zooming in on her bedroom window, the only room with a light in the house. The video was posted 5 minutes ago. Julie's blood ran cold. Trembling, she swiped to the last story. It was a video shot right on her porch, looking through the glass. He's right here. Immediately, a message popped up on the screen. Let me in. Julie screamed, throwing her phone onto the bed. She heard the handle on the front door downstairs being turned roughly. She dashed out of the room, locking the door behind her, her hands shaking. She called her father. Her voice was lost in sobs. Her father, who had been enjoying the trip, suddenly became serious, ordering her to call the police and find a place to hide. Soon after, she heard a loud bang, followed by the sound of broken glass. He had entered the house. Julie panicked and ran into her parents' bedroom, remembering that there was a way to the attic. She heard the stranger's heavy footsteps coming up the stairs, and he called out Julian in a creepy voice. She quickly pulled down the attic ladder, climbed up in the dark, and pushed it up with all her might, slamming the door shut as soon as he burst into the room. Julie lay huddled on the dusty attic floor, holding her breath as she listened. He was rummaging around, breaking things. A moment later, she heard police sirens getting closer. The intruder ran away. By the time the police and her parents arrived, the house was in ruins. The police found traces of chloroform on the broken living room window. It was then that Julie remembered the business card she had given to dozens of people at the conference. Her stalker, who knew she lived alone and didn't have a dog, was one of them. Julie deleted her OnlyFans account and all her social media. The money she had made now only brought back horror. She decided to move to another city with her sister. Although the stalker was still at large, her life had changed forever. Julie got in the car with her sister, heading to a new place. She still occasionally startled and looked back. The haunting image of the faceless man in the blue shirt still there. A bitter reminder of the price she paid for her dream. Amit was sitting in his cramped room, staring out of the window as the rain poured heavily outside. The sky flashed with bolts of lightning, making the night even more eerie. The sound of the rain pounding against the window seemed endless, heightening the tension in the air. Amit's mind was clouded with worry. He had moved to the city with high hopes, but after 3 months, he was still without a job, and every penny of his savings was almost gone. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden knock on the door. Who could be at my door at this hour, especially in this kind of downpour? A mix of fear and curiosity stirred inside Amit. Who's there? He called out softly, slowly opening the door. A young woman, around 25, stood drenched from the rain. Her body was visibly shaking from the cold, and water dripped from her wet hair. She clutched a bag tightly, as though it was her most precious possession. "Excuse me," she said, her voice trembling. "My car broke down nearby, and I can't go anywhere in this rain. Could I stay here for a while?" Amit eyed her cautiously. There was a car parked in the distance behind her, but he remained suspicious. What's a woman doing out here at this hour? Could she be up to something? She doesn't seem like the type. Despite his doubts, Amit decided to act out of basic human kindness. "All right, come in. It's too dangerous to stand out there in the rain." The woman stepped inside, and Amit handed her a towel. "Sit down. I'll make you some tea." A few minutes later, Amit returned with the tea, and she accepted it with a soft smile. "Thank you. My name is Neha," she explained. "I was on my way from a nearby town, but the car broke down. I couldn't find anyone to help, so I came here. I hoped to get some assistance." Amit smiled back and introduced himself. "I'm Amit. I came here to find work. This area can feel a little eerie at night, though. Not many people around." Neha nodded while sipping her tea. For a moment, silence hung in the room, only broken by the sound of the rain tapping against the window. Neha suddenly spoke up. "Could I use your phone? My battery's dead." Amit handed her his phone, and she dialed a number. After a brief conversation, she hung up. "Yes, I'm safe. Everything will be fine tonight," she said before disconnecting the call. Just as Amit was about to ask something, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. Amit quickly turned on the flashlight on his phone and began scanning the room. But Neha was gone. Where did she go? Amit thought, panic creeping into his chest. He searched the room frantically, but she was nowhere to be found. Then, another knock echoed through the silence. Amit opened the door, and to his relief, it was his friend, Arvind. "Hey, Amit, why do you look so anxious at this hour?" Arvind asked, noticing his friend's distressed expression. "Having a bad dream or something?" Amit quickly explained the strange situation with Neha. Arvind frowned in concern. "What were you thinking, letting a stranger in like that?" Arvind said, his voice laced with worry. "You know how many strange things have been happening in this city lately." "But she left, and all that's left is her bag," Amit replied. Both of them looked at the bag. Arvind slowly unzipped it. The moment he saw inside, his face drained of color, and he took a step back. "Inside this bag is Neha's severed head," Arvind exclaimed. Amit stared at him in shock. "Neha? How do you know her?" In a daze, Amit peered into the bag, expecting the gruesome sight. But instead of a head, there was a folded note. The note read, "Your work is over tonight." Amit turned to Arvind, his voice tense. "Do you know Neha?" Arvind's face turned ghostly pale. He stammered, "Yes, I knew her. She was my fiancée." Amit's heart raced. "Then what is all this, Arvind?" he demanded. Arvind's trembling voice confessed, I killed Neha. It was the biggest mistake of my life. In my desperation for wealth, I visited a so-called tantric, who told me that if I sacrificed Neha, my fate would change. I did it out of greed. I killed her. Worry. Amit's legs wobbled. "And now her soul has come back to take revenge?" he whispered. Arvind bowed his head. "Yes, Amit. She's here to make me confess my crimes." Amit's voice shook with fear. "I was talking to a ghost just now." Just then, the lights flickered back on, and the room was illuminated. Amit and Arvind froze when they saw Neha sitting silently in the corner, her head hanging low, her body still. A low sob escaped from her. Amit and Arvind stood frozen, unable to move. Arvind, gathering his courage, began to walk toward her, trembling. "Neha, please, forgive me. I never meant for this to happen. It was my selfishness, my greed," Arvind began, his voice quivering. Slowly, Neha raised her head, revealing deep cuts on her cheeks, blood dripping from the open wounds. Her eyes burned with a mix of pain and anger. But there was also something chilling in her gaze. "You never even tried to save me," she whispered. "So I thought I should come to you instead." Arvind's eyes filled with tears as he collapsed to his knees. "Neha, I love you. Please forgive me." Suddenly, Neha's face twisted into a horrifying smile. She chuckled softly, then said, "Oh, my dear Arvind, you really started crying, didn't you?" The laughter grew louder, more sinister. Arvind, still kneeling in front of her, tried to speak, but was paralyzed with fear. Before he could utter a word, Neha's fingers, sharp as knives, reached toward his neck. Arvind tried to break free, but Neha's grip was inhumanly strong. She smiled coldly. "Where will you go now, Arvind? You can't escape." With one swift motion, Neha's fingers dug into his neck, tearing through flesh and bone. Arvind's screams choked in his throat, and in the next instant, his head was completely severed from his body, falling to the floor with a sickening thud. A fountain of blood sprayed across the walls, painting them red. Neha picked up Arvind's severed head and held it up to her eyes, her smile widening. "You thought I would forgive you that easily," she mocked. Amit stood frozen in horror, unable to look away. His heart pounded in his chest, his breath coming in short gasps. The room seemed to darken, the walls closing in. Amit felt his body grow weak, his limbs heavy. And then, everything went black. "Sleep now, my dear." Neha's voice echoed in the shadows. "Sleep and become mine forever."
On the edge of a forgotten town, quiet rain fell on crumbling streets. Daniel walked slowly, water dripping from his coat, toward a girl beneath a flickering yellow light. She turned, a gentle smile, dress rippling like velvet wine in the wind and rain. "Eliza," she breathed, her voice drifting between raindrops like smoke. Daniel spoke under flickering light. Eliza nodded, untouched by rain. The cafe flickered with candlelight, safe yet strange, as if time inside bent differently. Their shadows danced, though Eliza's flickered offbeat, not quite hers. She stared, unmoving, unblinking, smoke weaving through candlelight across her gaze. Within drifting smoke, her eye held no blink, only the reflection of a fire that didn't warm. A drop of wax burned his skin. The flame blinked, the room shivered. "Only when it rains," she mouthed, and the candle flared as if startled. Rain dripped onto her hand, but her skin didn't react. Like porcelain, Daniel looked away, light flickering across his face, like something unseen breathing nearby. She smiled, and her shadow smiled differently, disconnected, late. The clock ticked once more, then stopped. A drop of rain from the ceiling tapped its glass like a signal. A gust lifted the curtain. Something passed beyond the glass. Fast, vague. A cold draft crept in. Daniel shivered, but Eliza didn't blink, untouched, unbothered. She rose. A chair groaned. One candle blinked out as if afraid to follow. The air thickened. Her shadow lengthened unnaturally, stretching toward Daniel. With each step, the world blurred. Streetlights winked out behind them, and the rain grew quieter. The street lamp burst in sparks, but Eliza didn't flinch beneath the falling fire. Her words floated forward on the wind, as if not meant to reach him whole. He chuckled, but the sound was swallowed by wind. "Not for me," she whispered, and even the rain paused to listen. Lightning revealed the station. Vines coiled over rust. Thunder followed, close, heavy. The gate opened on its own, and even the rain seemed to part around her. A bulb burst nearby, as if the place rejected light. Inside, silence lived thick, complete, and hungry. His breath fogged the air. The dark pressed close, watching, waiting. She vanished, not walked away, just gone, like smoke into stone. "Eliza," he called. Only echoes returned, twisted, delayed, and wrong. Dust stirred. A photo appeared, aged and wet, yet her face was just as he saw it tonight. He stared, the shaking light painted moving shadows across his face. The door creaked open, exhaling darkness that smothered the rain behind him. "Don't go further," whispered the dark, thick as fog and just as near. Behind him, she hovered, hair drifting in still air. Her feet dangled, her shadow bled out, shape shifting in the dark. Her eyes glowed, icy blue, reflecting lightning that hadn't yet struck. She floated forward. The ground cracked beneath him, drawn toward her. "He left me," echoed inside his skull, her lips unmoving, her eyes alight. Her voice fractured, a chorus in the wind, crawling the walls like roots. "And you won't leave," she hissed, breath colder than winter itself. Her grin cracked audibly, fissures crawling across her cheeks with each twitch. Beneath cracked skin, black veins writhed like trapped insects beneath frost. The light above died as he fell, darkness rushing in with the crash. The floor cracked beneath him like a waiting mouth. The light blinked, imprinting a ghost flash on his vision. No windows, no light, no rain. Only walls, smooth, silent, and closing. Her neck twisted slowly, vertebrae clicking. Her hair lifted, suspended in invisible current. "Stay," she hissed, her voice scraping like leaves on bone from everywhere. The ceiling warped inward, shadows twisted upward, yet Eliza cast one from below. He ran, but the halls bent like breathing tunnels, looping him into himself. The lights pulsed with rhythm, walls beat like lungs. "There's no leaving," she sang, and something hurt her. His shadow was no longer his. Claws grew, stretching beyond him. He prayed, but the words folded inward. The light curled in like a closing fist. Lights popped softly, and with each burst, the dark deepened like a descending level. Nothing. Then, steps. Slow, circling, climbing walls like centipedes. Cold breath brushed his nape, and left behind prints of something unseen. "You shouldn't have followed," she breathed, and the wall ahead shivered. Her face cracked and flaked, skin falling to dust before it landed. Her eyes opened into voids, not metaphor, but gravity. Nothing, no breath, no sound, not even silence, just absence. A train called from another lifetime, distant, haunted, metallic. Rain returned. The cafe flickered gently. Eliza sat, untouched by the night. She watched the chair, and its shadow watched her back. The cushion dipped. A drop fell and vanished before the splash. Through the rain-blurred window, someone paused, deja vu blooming on their face. Frost bloomed on the glass, and a faint handprint formed. The candle flickered, stabilizing just enough to reveal. A faint silhouette sat, flickered, and vanished. Some say he never really left.